I want to begin by saying something that might feel uncomfortable. Putting yourself first is not a betrayal to others. It's the bravest kind of honesty. Somewhere along the way, many of us were taught to believe that being selfless meant being worthy. But the truth is, when you make yourself a priority, you don't diminish others. You actually deepen your capacity to love, to show up, and to lead. There's a quiet strength in choosing yourself, not the loud, flashy kind that seeks validation, but the tender, steady kind that says, I'm worth the care I give to everyone else. And then there's silence. Silence is underrated. We've been conditioned to think that if it's not posted, shared, or applauded, it doesn't matter. But some of the most powerful chapters in your story will be the ones no one ever reads. The hours you spend healing, growing, building, believing. Those sacred, unseen hours, that's the real work. That's the work that changes your life. We live in a world that praises selflessness, especially when it comes in the form of overextending, overgiving, and overcompensating. We're taught to be there for everyone, to stretch ourselves thin, to say yes when we want to say no. And somewhere along the way, we absorb this message that taking care of ourselves is indulgent, even selfish. But let's pause right there. Here's what they don't tell you enough. You cannot be everything to everyone while being nothing to yourself. You cannot show up fully in your relationships, your purpose, your dreams, if you are constantly abandoning yourself for the comfort of others. Prioritizing yourself isn't selfish. It's foundational. It's a base layer of a life built on integrity and sustainability. Think of yourself as a house. If the foundation is weak, cracked by neglect, weathered by burnout, ignored out of guilt, how can anything built on top of it stand tall for long? If you keep giving from a place of depletion, eventually you break. Your generosity becomes resentment. Your kindness becomes exhaustion. And the people around you, they don't get the best version of you, they get the remains. When you prioritize yourself, you're not shutting the world out, you're inviting your wholeness in. You're saying, I matter too. My needs are real. My rest is valid. My boundaries are necessary. And from that space, you become someone who can love deeper, listen better, serve with heart, and not from a place of obligation, but from a place of overflow. Let's get honest, this isn't always easy. Sometimes putting yourself first means disappointing people. It might mean pulling away from toxic expectations, speaking up when you've been quiet for too long, or choosing rest when hustle culture calls you lazy. It's going to be uncomfortable, but growth lives in that discomfort. Power lives there too. There's nothing noble about abandoning yourself. There's nothing admirable about being available to everyone but yourself. You don't earn love by proving how much you can endure. You are not here to survive your life. You are here to live it. And that begins with making yourself a priority, not once a year, not only when everything else is done, but daily in the small ways, nourishing your body, honoring your limits, protecting your peace, and in the big ways, making bold decisions that reflect your worth, standing firm in your truth, walking away from what doesn't align with your future self. When you take care of yourself, not in a performative, trendy kind of way, but in a deep, intentional, soul-honoring way, you're building a life that can hold the weight of your dreams. So no, it's not selfish, it's self-honoring, it's self-awareness, it's self-respect. And it's the most radical, courageous, and necessary work you'll ever do. Everyone's talking, everyone's posting, everyone's performing, and there's this subtle but constant pressure to prove that you're doing enough, achieving enough, being enough loudly. We've been conditioned to believe that if we're not seen, we're not successful. If we're not heard, we're irrelevant. If we're quiet, we must be lacking. But let me offer another truth. Silence isn't emptiness, it's power. Because here's what silence really is. It's the space where we come back to ourselves. The space where we no longer perform, no longer explain, no longer curate or edit who we are for public consumption. It's the sacred ground where clarity grows, where healing happens, where we can finally hear our own voice beneath the noise of everyone else's expectations. And in that quiet, there's strength, not the kind that shouts or demands attention, but the kind that roots you. Reminds you that your worth isn't up for debate. We underestimate the value of doing the work quietly. The kind of growth that doesn't show up in a highlight reel, the kind of progress that isn't shared in a caption, that discipline, that daily showing up, that rebuilding of your identity or your dream or your life in private, that's sacred. That's the kind of work that turns into something lasting. Silence teaches you who you really are when no one's watching. It invites you to sit in the discomfort of your truth. It invites you to be still long enough to actually process what you're feeling, to integrate what you're learning, and to decide on your own terms what's next. And let's be honest, sometimes silence is lonely. Sometimes it's misunderstood. People might think you're slipping, falling behind, disappearing, but what they don't see is that you're protecting your peace. You're getting intentional. You're no longer available for distractions or applause that comes at the cost of your soul. Because real power doesn't need to perform. It doesn't need to convince. Real power is rooted in quiet confidence. It's in knowing that you're building something worthwhile, even if no one else sees it yet. It's in choosing stillness over proving, depth over display, alignment over attention. The most powerful people I know don't need to be the loudest in the room. They're the ones who know how to pause before reacting, who know how to listen more than they speak, who can sit with themselves in the stillness without reaching for distraction. That's strength, that's maturity, that's self-leadership. So if you're in a season of silence, honor it, protect it. Don't rush to fill the space. Don't confuse quiet with lack. You are still growing, you are still healing, you are still becoming. And when the time comes for your voice, your work, or your story to be seen, you'll know. But it won't be for validation, it'll be from wholeness. So no, silence isn't emptiness. It's where the most meaningful transformations begin. It's the soil your future self will grow from. And it is powerful beyond measure. Let's talk about the quiet, often unglamorous truth that many people overlook. Hype fades, but consistency endures. We live in a culture that idolizes the big moment, the launch, the announcement, the viral post, the overnight success story. We're drawn to loud beginnings. We cheer for bold declarations, but what we often don't see, what really builds a life of meaning and momentum, is the work that happens after the excitement dies down, after the motivation fades, after the applause goes silent. That's where consistency steps in. Because consistency doesn't care how inspired you feel. It doesn't rely on perfect conditions. It doesn't need an audience. Consistency says, I'll show up anyway, even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when no one else notices. And that right there is where the magic lives. It's easy to start something. It's easy to talk a big game, to post about your goals, to make declarations about who you're becoming. But following through quietly, patiently, daily, that's what separates the dreamers from the doers. That's what builds character. That's what builds trust with others and, more importantly, with yourself. There's a quiet kind of confidence that comes from keeping promises to yourself, from choosing alignment over adrenaline, from choosing effort over ego. Every time you show up for your vision, even in small ways, you're saying, this matters, I matter, my future matters. And here's something most people don't tell you. The path to anything meaningful is repetitive. It's not full of fireworks. It's full of early mornings, focused hours, intentional choices, and quiet progress. It's not always inspiring, but it's always worth it. The world might cheer for the loudest person in the room, but success will always belong to the one who keeps going when it's boring, when it's messy, when it's lonely. Consistency builds trust in your journey. Consistency trains your nervous system for success. Consistency is what transforms your identity, not in one dramatic shift, but in thousands of tiny, courageous choices made over time. Hype might get people to look at you, but consistency. So don't worry if your work isn't loud right now. Don't chase momentum that fizzles out. Don't compare your process to someone else's highlight reel. Focus on showing up, on building rhythm, on doing the next right thing again and again until it becomes who you are, not just what you do. The goal isn't to be impressive once. It's to become someone whose integrity and dedication speak louder than any announcement ever could, because in the end, consistency is louder than hype. It doesn't need to shout. It proves itself quietly, powerfully, and every single day. Let's be real. Comparison is a trap most of us fall into without even noticing. You're scrolling through your feed, sipping your coffee, and before you know it, you're spiraling. Someone else's promotion makes you question your worth. Their vacation makes your life feel small. Their success makes your pace feel slow. And without realizing it, you've moved from being grounded in your own journey to feeling like you're somehow behind in a race you didn't even sign up for. That's the danger of comparison. It's sneaky. It disguises itself as motivation. It whispers, look what they're doing. You should be further along by now. And suddenly, what once felt meaningful becomes not enough. What once brought joy now brings shame. Here's the truth. Comparison kills progress because it shifts your focus from your lane to someone else's. And the moment you take your eyes off your own growth, you lose momentum. You start measuring your path with someone else's ruler. You start abandoning your rhythm to chase theirs. But we forget something essential. We're not all walking the same road. Your timing is not their timing. Your purpose is not their purpose. And your pace is not only valid, it's necessary. The problem with comparison is that it doesn't take context into account. It sees the highlight, not the history. It sees the outcomes, not the obstacles. It compares your behind the scenes with someone else's final edit, and it's unfair to you. Because when you're focused on someone else's path, you lose sight of the small, brave, consistent steps you are taking. You forget how far you've come. You forget that growth is not always visible and healing is not always linear. Some of the most important work you'll ever do will be slow, internal, and invisible to the outside world. And that doesn't make it any less real. Here's what's even more dangerous about comparison. It turns success into scarcity. It tricks you into believing that there's only so much joy, love, recognition, or opportunity to go around, that someone else's win is your loss, that their light somehow dims yours. But that's a lie. There is room for their success and yours, room for their joy and your healing, room for their progress and your process. What you bring to the world is unique and needed. And when you abandon your gift trying to replicate someone else's, the world misses out on what only you can create. So protect your focus like it's sacred, because it is. Stay grounded in your own timeline. Honor the lessons you're learning. Celebrate your small wins, even when no one else sees them. Because when you stay in your lane, you make real, lasting progress. Not the kind that needs to be compared, but the kind that can only be lived. Because in the end, the only person you need to be better than is the version of you from yesterday. And when you live from that truth, that's when you grow, that's when you rise, that's when you win. I'm about to do this. Watch what I'm gonna become. This is my year. And hey, it's human to want to be seen, to feel the excitement of a bold announcement, to mark your intention with a little noise and a lot of passion. But here's the thing. Real growth doesn't need a press release. And you don't have to announce your transformation before it happens. You don't have to market your grind to prove you're working. You don't have to convince anyone that you're becoming someone worth noticing, because when it's real, your results will speak for themselves. You don't need the world's validation to get started. You need your integrity. You need your discipline. You need your why, the one that keeps whispering to you long after the hype fades, the one that still matters even when no one's clapping. The truth is, a lot of people are loud at the starting line, but the real power is in those who stay committed when it's hard, when the motivation fades, when there's no crowd cheering you on, when it's just you, your work, and the quiet question, am I still showing up for what I said I wanted? That's where your results are built. The unseen. In the unshared, in the uncelebrated. And here's something we don't talk about enough. You don't owe anyone proof of your process. You don't have to document every step, every choice, every milestone. You can build quietly, heal quietly, rise quietly, and then one day you become. Not because you talked about it every step of the way, but because you stayed with it. Let your peace speak. Let your glow speak. Let your character speak. Let your consistency speak. You don't need to prove how hard you're working. You don't need to defend your pace, your silence, or your evolution. You just need to keep doing the work. Keep honoring your path. Keep choosing discipline over performance. Because the loudest things don't always last, but the real ones, the ones rooted in truth, purpose, and grit, they echo. They resonate. They show. And that's the kind of life you're building. Not just a loud one, not just a flashy one, but a meaningful one, a strong one, a true one. So trust this. You don't need to announce your power. You just need to walk in it, let your results speak, and they will, louder than anything you could ever say. In a world that constantly pulls us in 1,000 different directions, it's easy to forget one of the most important truths about our well-being. Peace is not a luxury, it's a necessity. We've all been there, caught up in the whirlwind of work, relationships, social media, obligations, and the pressure to be on all the time. In the middle of it all, we forget that peace is the bedrock of everything we want to build. Without it, we crumble. Without it, nothing else matters. So here's the thing. Protect your peace like it's sacred, because it is. Peace isn't just the absence of conflict, it's the presence of alignment. It's the feeling of being centered, of being connected to your own truth, and of knowing what matters most to you. It's the calm beneath the chaos. It's what allows you to think clearly, to make decisions that honor your values, and to stay grounded in the midst of life's inevitable storms. When you protect your peace, you're doing more than just guarding your mental health. You're safeguarding your energy, your creativity, and your capacity to show up for what really matters. You're preserving the part of you that holds your vision, your purpose, and your authenticity. That part of you deserves care. And here's the hard truth. You won't always be able to protect your peace if you don't set boundaries. In a world that demands so much from us, it's easy to say yes to things, to people, to situations that drain us. We say yes because we don't want to disappoint. We don't want to be seen as selfish, or maybe we're afraid of missing out. But in doing so, we say no to our peace. We give it away piece by piece until there's nothing left but exhaustion and resentment. So boundaries aren't just a way to protect your time, they're a way to honor yourself. To say, I am worthy of space, I am worthy of rest, I am worthy of my own energy. Boundaries are not walls, they are lines that define what is yours and what is not. And when you protect those lines, you're creating a space where you can be your truest self without the pressure to conform to someone else's expectations or needs. But it's not just about boundaries with other people, it's about boundaries with yourself too. Sometimes we're our own worst enemies. Overcommitting, overworking, overthinking. We let our inner critic take center stage. We let the noise inside our own minds drown out the peace we so desperately need. So protecting your peace also means showing yourself grace. It means silencing the negative self-talk. It means forgiving yourself for not being perfect. It means allowing yourself to rest and recharge even when you feel like you should be doing more. And let's talk about the people you let into your life. Not everyone deserves access to your peace. There are relationships, whether they're personal, professional, or digital, that drain you, that make you feel small, that keep you in a cycle of stress, anxiety, or fear. And I want you to hear this. It's okay to walk away from relationships that disrupt your peace. It's okay to unfollow, to distance yourself, to set hard boundaries with people who do not honor your inner. And it's not harsh, it's necessary. Protecting your peace sometimes means protecting yourself from others' chaos. Peace isn't just something you protect in moments of stress or crisis, it's something you nurture daily. It's about the little choices you make every day to guard your energy, whether it's through meditation, exercise, alone time, or simply saying no when you need to. It's about creating a rhythm that aligns with who you truly are, rather than chasing the next thing that promises to give you peace, but doesn't. When you protect your peace, you're also teaching others how to treat you. You're modeling self-respect and self-love. And when you're rooted in peace, you make better decisions, you communicate more clearly, you show up with more compassion, and you can hold space for others without losing yourself. But most importantly, protecting your peace is an act of love for yourself and the world around you. You cannot give what you do not have. If you want to show up as your best self, if you want to contribute in a meaningful way, if you want to love and lead from a place of wholeness, then you must preserve your inner peace. So start now. Make it a daily practice. Guard your peace like it's the most precious thing you own, because in many ways it is. When you protect your peace, you're not just surviving the noise of life, you're thriving in it. And that, my friends, is where true power comes from a place of peace, from a place of alignment, from a place where you are centered enough to lead, to love, and to create. Protect your peace. It's sacred, and it's the foundation of everything you'll ever build. As we close, let's reflect on the essence of the journey we've just walked through. We've talked about the power of prioritizing yourself, the quiet strength of silence, the unshakable power of consistency, the danger of comparison, the undeniable force of letting your results speak, and the crucial need to protect your peace like it's sacred. And remember this, your results will speak louder than any words you could ever say. Your consistency, your quiet work, your decision to honor your peace, those are the things that will build a legacy. Those are the things that will make the difference in your life and in the lives of those around you. Don't be afraid to let the world see your power, but more importantly, don't be afraid to let it grow silently from within. Because when you protect your peace, stay grounded in your truth, and focus on what truly matters, there's nothing that can stop you from becoming who you're meant to be.